Hello, welcome to Chapter 2. I've got my sunglasses on. A lot of people with these YouTube videos around Wake Tech campus and around the city of Raleigh, I'm being recognized and asked for my autograph, and so I try to wear these sunglasses a good bit just to keep from being recognized. Unfortunately, when people hear my voice, suddenly they realize it's Sam Isley, the Wake Tech instructor of governmental accounting. I'll get rid of my sunglasses now to go through with you Chapter 2. Hope you survived Chapter 1 okay. A lot of information in there, and you will see a lot of information in this class. Keep up, do some every day, try to pace yourself in this course. As you start each chapter, be sure you look right at the beginning of the chapter. There's certain learning objectives that are mentioned in there, and in one of the learning objectives of Chapter 2, we're going to explore the governmental funds, the proprietary funds, and the fiduciary funds. These are examples of broad fund types in governmental accounting. We'll explore what is meant by modified accrual accounting versus accrual accounting. Modified accrual accounting versus accrual accounting. We also have some verbiage related to the government-wide financial statements. Now, these are primarily going to be covered in Chapter 13. Don't worry about them now, but this chapter in your textbook does bring them up. And if you'd like to, you can take a look at the government-wide financial statements in the Wake County Public School CAFR, Comprehensive Annual Financial Report, CAFR, and they are found at the beginning of the financial statements. Again, this chapter introduces the government-wide financial statements to you. Just be exposed to them, but know in Chapter 13 we'll cover them in a little more detail. Also, in Chapter 2, you're introduced to the terms revenue estimates and appropriations. We started talking about appropriations in Chapter 1. What are appropriations? I'll give you a second to think about that. Appropriations. Budgeted expenditures. Budgeted expenditures. Revenue estimates, or estimated revenues, budgeted revenues. What do you think the amount of tax, or what the government thinks the amount of taxes that will be collected for the governmental entity? You need to memorize these terms and know the difference between revenue estimates or estimated revenues and the actual revenue. Know the difference between appropriation, budgeted expenditures, and expenditures. Okay? And you also need to know the broad category fund types that I mentioned earlier of governmental, proprietary, and fiduciary. Governmental, proprietary, and fiduciary. Remember, when we were talking in Chapter 1 about governmental funds, we talked about the general fund as being an example of the governmental fund. I'm trying to ease you into this. Remember, general fund is required, and there is only one general fund. Multiple choice question, I guarantee it. Remember that. Also, we talked about the proprietary fund types, okay, and specifically the enterprise fund. The enterprise fund is an example of a proprietary fund. And remember, the enterprise fund, Wake County Public School Child Nutrition Area. Wake County Public School Child Nutrition Area. Closely resembles private industry. You've got school kids, staff, and faculty coming into the school cafeteria paying money. Okay, that's the revenue or part of the revenue in the enterprise fund. And you've got cost of goods sold and other expenses. Notice I said expenses for the enterprise fund, not expenditures. You're going to be more comfortable with these terms as we move through the class. Now, I've got a chart, and I'm going to maneuver the camera so we can see the examples of the governmental funds, and we're going to start out with that. In the governmental funds, you've got the general funds, you've got, general fund, just one fund, the special revenue fund, the Capital Projects Fund, the Debt Service Funds, and the Permanent Funds. We're going to go through each one of these fund types as we go through this class, starting with the General and Special Revenue Funds in future chapters. Now, let's move down the chart, and we've got the proprietary funds. We've already talked about this some. Under the proprietary funds, we've got specifically the Enterprise Fund and Internal Service Funds. Enterprise Fund and Internal Service Fund. Just briefly, Internal Service Fund is like a print shop or motor pool. It's a funding source that utilizes or gives services to other funds within that governmental entity. You don't have to know that now, but I just wanted to mention that to you. Okay, I'm going to pull the chart back, and like magic, we've got the fiduciary funds. I hope you didn't get seasick with that. And the fiduciary funds, you've got pension trust funds, private purpose trust fund, investment trust funds, and agency funds. If you look at the Wake County Public School CAFR, go to the end of the financial statements and you can see the individual schools listed, and you see a beginning balance, revenues, expenditures, and the ending balance, and with that you've got fiduciary, or an example of fiduciary funds within Wake County Public Schools. Fiduciary funds within Wake County Public Schools. Okay, what we're going to do, we're going to stop right now and go to Chapter 2, Part 2 for your next tape.